Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations. Today we're going to put the blade on. So if you have a crawler, whether it's a John Deere, I think they had them for the 40, the 420, the 430, and you're putting a number 62 or even the number 61 blade on, this is the video for you. So all these components are pretty much the same, whether you have the number 61 or the number 62 blade. The only difference is on, at least as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, the number 61 blade only has the one cylinder on the right hand side, so this extra cylinder won't be with your configuration, but everything else, same thing. Well, as with everything with this project, everything's heavy, so I guess I should be used to it by now. So I'm going to put this right side one on first, since the camera's already over here. Both of these small assemblies looks familiar. The right hand one is the one with the serial tag. If you don't have a tag on there, that's fine. What you want to look for, I can spin this around and hopefully you can see it. There's this bottom pin, and that's where the blade bolts onto this this housing here. And there's a square tab on the top part here. On this other side, there's the round hole, no square tab. And that square tab is for, let me go get the pin and show you. So these pins go, it's a big pin with the square backing plate on the back. They go from the inside out. So when this pin goes through here, this square part will catch on this this little tab, and once it goes through, there's a hole here you can put a cotter pin or whatever through to hold that and secure it in place. But that pin is what holds the dozer frame, and it pivots here on the frame of the tractor. So with that being said, let's see if I can lift this up and show you again. Now this would be the bottom, this is the top, the front, and the back. You can see these notches cut out here and here. These are for the two square undercarriage frame pieces that go across. So basically this piece is going to sit on top of there. So let's go ahead and attempt to get this put in here. Watch your fingers as always. Let's see here. Sitting on the frame there. There we go. Alright, so this is pretty much just going to sit in place, and we'll have to make some adjustments for left and right for centering. So I'm going to put the hardware on this temporarily, just to kind of keep it in place, but we won't tighten anything down until we get the big bottom part of the frame in and into these places here, into the socket on the bottom, and we'll put these pins through. So basically what will end up happening is we'll use the frame of the blade to center these arms where we want them to be. Alright, kind of windy day, so bear with me. Hopefully it's not too bad on the microphone. I got the little fuzzy cap thing on there. Alright, so this is the pin that's going to hold the dozer blade frame on the bottom, and then we've got the larger U-bolt that is going to hold the front of this frame to the crawler frame, and I got new washers and lock washers and whatnot. This is the piece that in my old video I cut off. So basically, you know, we have this bar on the frame of the crawler that runs from left to right, and this frame that we just put in is sitting on top of that bar, and then this U-bolt is going to slide in from the bottom of the bar through the frame and tighten up and hold it in place. So that'll be on the front, and then on the back it's the same concept, but there's two smaller U-bolts that'll go through with a plate to hold the back in. So, and it's the same for both sides, so really don't need to show you both. Let me see if I can get a better view of putting this front one in for you. So, U-bolt go around the frame, pop up through the inside there. I'm going to put a big washer on each one of these bolts. And I'm going to put a lock washer. And that one's too small. Where's my big lock washers? There we go. Big lock washer. And a pair of nuts for the tractor. Here's the top view from the front of the frame. Back out here a little bit if I can. There we go. You can see I got the new washers and the nuts. This is where the lift cylinder is going to go. So I'll bring you, I guess I can probably shoot it through the side here, but this is where the other clamp's going to go. So I'll get this set up and we'll throw those on. Again, I apologize if the wind's blowing and making a lot of noise here, but so basically this frame is coming down and that little V is sitting on top of this back frame, and we're going to take this plate and we're going to set it on top of that arm. Might need to pull this out a little bit. Again, this is why we don't tighten anything down. I'll do this front one first, just because it's probably going to be easier to see. So now this is the U-bolt, and again this V on here sits in the bottom part of this square frame, and it's going to come up. Tuck my hand in here, and through this plate. There we go. And again, I've got new lock washers and nuts. One here and one on the back. For some reason, this one's wanting to go crooked. Sorry if my head's in the way. My arm. It should be an arm model. There we go. Alright, there's the other one there. And let's get this back one stuck in from behind. So same type of clamp. They're both the same. My hand's just a little bit too big to fit through that sprocket. But let's see if we can get this lined up. Kind of doing this blind. There we go. Alright, so now I get the other one in. And I'm going to loosen up on this side a little bit, because I only have a couple threads poking out on that inside part there. I'll loosen this up a little. Rock that plate over. There we go. Alright, so same thing. New lock nuts. One for the front and one for the back. Both nuts hand tight. Going by feel here, I can't really see in there too well. Let's get this back one on first. There we go. And the front one seems a little short. If I can just get the nut to start, it'll probably be all right. I'm gonna try flipping this back U-bolt around. Some trial and error here, just to see. They look like they're made the same, but this back one has excess threads and the front one's really short. So I have a feeling I may have this on backwards. So I'll drop this one down. We'll flip it around. They look the same to me, but can't hurt, right? See if we can get this back through again. Oh yeah, much better. Alright, so I guess those do just go on one way. Alright, lock washer, nut. Now that I got plenty of threads on that side. And one for the back. I'll move my arms out of here in a second and get a better shot of this so you can see what's going on here. And again, just do everything hand tight, because we're going to have to slide this whole bracket side to side. So let me see if I can get the camera in here. So there's the two U-bolts and the bolts on the top. I really can't get a better shot of that. You're just going to have to trust me that they're in there. There's kind of a better shot. But anyway, that's it. So that's how you get this side frame on. And I've got this one over here that I've got to put on this side. So if you don't know by now, you will. And my buddy Brian can attest to this. I love collecting the original literature almost as much as I do the tractors. So this is the operator's manual for the John Deere 62 bulldozer, which is the blade part. So let's go in here real quick, because I keep calling these the side frames. That's probably not what they're called. So let's see what Deere calls them. Number 12, frame mounting, left hand and right hand. All right, so that's what these pieces are, frame mounting. All right, great. And then the pins that hold it on are pin, cylinder pivot. Oh, that's for the top. Anyway, it's in here somewhere. Here it is, number 10, pin rear boom pivot. So those are the big pins that I showed you that go in, and boom pivot, meaning the frame pivots on there underneath. So anyway, these books are awesome because it goes through, you know, it tells you the operation, how to do the different features and functions of it, all your specifications, measurements, weight, right? So here we are, we're talking about how heavy this thing was, right? So weight, complete minus the shoes, 72-inch blade, which is what I have, 1,229 pounds. The shoes, those are the little wedge-shaped things underneath, they're 31 pounds each. So anyway, it shows you how to operate it, how to adjust it, how to use it, lubrication, good pictures. It shows you how to go through, rebuild the cylinders. Doesn't give you any part numbers or anything, but shows you kind of an exploded view. And then in the back, really what you would use for this section, I believe it's called service, so it's assembly. So assembly, so about putting the grill guard on, mounting the frames, the boom, the blade, and whatnot. It shows you some plumbing for some different hydraulic valve assemblies. So it's just kind of a really neat thing to have. Sometimes you'll get some that have writing in the back, serial numbers and whatnot. So eBay, it's your friend. All right, let's get these bolts on. Here we are on the left side. Got the left side U-bolt. It's gonna go around this frame and through the holes. So I think I have to lift up on this a little bit. Again, watch your fingers, because it slides over this frame just fine. I got no issue there, and it lines up with these bolt holes. It's just, when I stick it in here, I think it's, there we go, snag it inside the frame. All right, let me see where we're at now. Need to go, oh, we're almost there. Let's see if I pull on this a little bit. There we go. All right, so now you can see the 2 bolts have popped through. New big washers. So shiny. All right, big washers and new lock washers. And I'm going to show you, I grabbed one of the old ones here. I still have them. The old ones were completely flat and crushed. They should be at an angle like that. So these lock washers, when you tighten them, this pushes down and clamps this spring. And that's what helps keep tension between the object, let's say the frame and the bottom of the nut. So when they're compressed down like this, it's not locking that in anymore. Now it's almost just like a flat washer. So just get the new hardware. I think all the washers and lock washers for this blade assembly was like 20 bucks, and I got extra. These real big ones, I bought a few extra because sometimes these threads are messed up, and you can stack them to, you know, make sure your nuts stay on the thread so you can actually torque it down. So anyway, that's that. So we got the big one through, put on another set of nuts. Here we go. So we got those nuts on, hand tight. And let's move to the back one. Left side back, got the plate. Again, doesn't matter which way it goes on. Definitely probably need to pull it out a little bit. Set the plate on there. And let's get one of these back U-bolts. We'll do this front one here. Again, just easier to see. I don't think these go on any specific way. I think I just probably had the other one a little cattywampus. But anyway. Yeah, see this one? See how high that is? And this one's so short. let me pull it out and swap it again. It's just crazy because when you look at this thing, like, I don't know, see if I get this in the camera. I'm gonna go straight down. Like, I don't know. They look the same. They look like they're the same height, but obviously not. So just keep in mind when you put these in that I guess they just go one way. Let's see what happens when we go this. Yeah, see, there we go. They're about the same. They're about 1 inch each. Who'da thunk it? The lock washers. You can replace the nuts too if you want. I just kept the old ones. There's nothing wrong with these ones. Thanks again to my buddy Ricky for hooking me up with all new bracketry for this thing, because I had to cut my old ones off. They're just so like rotted out. Alright, that's the front one. Or the outside one, I should say. So now we get the back one. Let's see if I can get this figured out. It's 50-50 shot, right? I'm gonna go this way. Let's see what happens. My luck, it'll be backwards. I'm 1 for 3 so far, so let's see what happens with this one here. Jeez, I can barely even. I need smaller hands. Sorry, I know I'm moving the camera now. Alright. If I stick my hand through that sprocket hole, I might not get it back out again. I don't want to do that. I'm not trying to stay out here. Sorry, I know I'm moving the camera. Let me try going from the inside. Might be a little easier. No, that's not going to help either. Maybe I can get it from the back. Just that ain't gonna work. Alright, I gotta get dirty. I'm gonna have to go underneath and put this on from the inside. Where are you? Here we go. Alright. This through here. Thing is, now I can't see if I got it the right way or not. Interesting. I really gotta get under here now. I think this U-bolt's bent a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna start this one over again. Put this one on the outside. Actually, you know what? Let's keep this rolling. I'm gonna try something new here. Try to make it easier for the next guy. Instead of me fighting with this so much. Take this off. Oh, there goes one of my nuts. Great. Come on back out. Where are you? There. Alright. I'm going to save this one for the front because I know that one goes on easy. And this back one, I'm going to try putting in first. Let's see here. Alright. It's a little bit tweaked. It's kind of hard to fit through these holes. So, what we'll do is I'll put this one on the front where I can get to it easier. And get this plate on first. Because here I can kind of manipulate it a little bit and bend it into position if I need. Come on. There we go. Bringing it down just enough. There we go. Get some lock washers and a nut. Hopefully this is the right way. I think it is. Lock washer and a nut. I'm going to slide this over here. Yep, that's going to work. Alright. So now I can slide this one from the back because I know it'll fit in pretty easy. Hopefully. This thing's winning today. I keep bumping the camera, sorry, taking y'all for a ride. I just can't see in there. It's like I'm doing this blind. I'll get it eventually. Trial and error. You know what? I'm crawling back under again. At least this one will go in easier. I say that now. Alright, back underneath. slide it up in there. There we go. Definitely not a lot of room under here. So I got a lock washer. Where's my bolt? I don't think that's on the bolt. Let me get under here some more. Just might as well get all the way under. Oh yeah, that's on there. Alright, let's see if I can get a nut started. Where there's a will, there's a way. Come on. Where doesn't this want to go? Everything wants to fight me. Alright, I'm going to take the lock washer off first. Probably got this on backwards too. No, that feels about right. Let me get this back nut on. Once I get the nuts on to hold the U-bolt in place, I can kind of work it back from the other side again. Alright, let me come back out. Ah, fuck. This thing does not want to play today. Alright, we'll get this. It's just a metal inanimate object. And we shall prevail. Alright, let me get this lock nut out here. Let's check it on my hardware. Lock nut. This is the nut. There we go. Alright, let's try this again. Attempt number 75. Come on. Work with me here. The other side went so easy. Come on. Here we go. Oh my goodness. All right. Lock washer, a nut, lock washer, and a nut. Whew. All right. So that's all of the U-bolt clamps to hold that frame onto the crawler. Lordy. I didn't think we were ever going to get that. Alright, I know you've all heard the saying, do as I say, not as I do. So we're going to practice that right now. So if you're following along in your handy dandy number 62 operator's guide, the next step in this would be to start the crawler, drive it forward over the big heavy 700-pound dozer blade frame, and hook up those big pins that I was telling you about so we can get the brackets aligned and tighten up all the hardware. The problem is, in my situation, my hydraulic system is open right now. And what I mean by open is, we installed the tank, the pump, all the lines, the valve assembly, but there's still 2 open spots here. Now, this is where the hose goes in to the number 1 cylinder, and then the number 1 cylinder has 2 additional ports that'll go to the number 2 cylinder. So I have to hook up my hydraulic cylinders first, and fill my system with oil and kind of vent and purge everything first before I can move forward. Otherwise, what's going to happen is when I start this, the hydraulic pump is just going to run dry until I get it forward. Now, it's only about 8 feet, not a big deal. It would probably be fine, but I just don't want to risk it. So at this point, I'll get the hydraulic cylinders on, we'll pull it forward and hook up to the frame. Hey, 2 more things real quick. So when I put this track assembly back together, you know, I think I had told you that I had adjusted it for track tension to be about where I thought it was going to be. And then once I drove it for a while and some of the paint started to wear off and everything, the tracks would sag and I'd have to readjust them. Yesterday, I went back through and I readjusted the tracks. And I highly recommend that whether you're doing a restoration or if you're just installing a blade on a crawler that you already have, to do that maintenance ahead of time. Because once you get this blade frame in here, it makes everything like 40 times harder. So it's just more interferences, stuff in the way, and it's just kind of a pain. So I did adjust both tracks yesterday, so we're good there. I'm going to do a kind of a hyperlapse thing of me getting these cylinders on because there's really nothing too exciting. If you have any questions, just comment. I'll answer them. But one thing I do want to mention as well. So let me just show you what I'm going to kind of do here real quick. I think you're in the frame of view. It's all right. Just listen to me bang for a minute as I get this roll pin out and drop it on the ground. So this is one of the pins. Let me see what we're looking at for pictures here. Yeah, you can see that. So this is one of the pins that goes through the top of the frame over here that the hydraulic cylinders ride on. You can see it's got some paint where I painted and rust where I didn't. So in this video, you're gonna see me put on my face shield and gloves, and I got a wire wheel. I'm gonna wire wheel this down to bare metal, and I'm gonna do some good coating of grease on here. One, it's gonna be easier to get this pin through the frame and the hydraulic cylinder, and then obviously just grease because it's a moving metal part. So you'll see me doing that. So I've got, let's see, two pins that we're gonna do right now. So be pretty quick, but just make sure you clean these and lubricate them. You don't want any of the paint or rust in there. It's just gonna make noises and wear items quicker. One thing that was kind of neat, the hydraulic hose shop I went to. Now, I highly recommend shopping around. There's hydraulic hose shops all over the place, you know, so try to find one that maybe has got good reviews, you've heard good word from. Word of mouth is always good. But try them out. I've tried like 3 or 4 different places, and the prices range considerably, right? Time, how long it takes for them to do it, the quality of the work. You know, that kind of stuff all plays a factor. These hoses, I went to a different manufacturer that I hadn't used before. I had gone there for some other parts, and I was kind of complaining about the previous hose shop I used. They did a great job, and their prices were awesome, but they took forever. They could not meet a deadline at all. And, you know, when you're planning on, you know, certain things happening in a sequence, you kind of expect things to be done. If they say they're going to be done on Friday, you want it on Friday, not the following Thursday, you know, that kind of stuff. So this place here told me, hey, we can meet or exceed their prices, do a better job, and all this good stuff. And I said, all right. I went and there's only 5 hoses made, thankfully. And you remember in that other video I told you they range anywhere from like $20 to maybe $30 per hose for this, you know, size and length. Obviously bigger hoses, longer hoses are going to cost more, and obviously some of the specialty fittings are where the real money comes in. It's not even the hose. Anyway, these 5 hoses ended up costing me like $270, so I was a little pissed. They ended up being about twice as much as the other place, but they're good quality hoses. They're Aeroquip, which is a great brand, and the thing that I kind of decided that was my selling point was the green labeling on here is an exact match for the John Deere green. Sometimes it's red, yellow, sometimes it's just white lettering, you never know, but I thought it actually did look pretty cool. So I do have to get 2 more hoses made for my second function here. 2 hoses going from the valve assembly back to what's actually hanging in the back there. It's where the quick disconnects go in for my 2-bottom plow that I'm going to pull behind here. Anyway, even though I know this place is more expensive, they did them basically in 24 hours, and it looks cool on my tractor, so I'm going to go with that. Anyway, every hydraulic hose, if you've never installed them before, is going to have 2 ends, obviously. But what I mean by that is one is going to be a solid end, and the other one is a swivel end. So unless you like making life hard on yourself, which I typically do all the time, you want to install the end that does not swivel first, because you can stick it in and you can rotate the whole hose, tighten it up, and then you can route your hose wherever it needs to go, and on that other side it just swivels right in, nice and easy. So I did one already. You're just gonna have to take my word for this of where these hoses go. Again, if you get your handy dandy eBay original OEM John Deere 62 bulldozer blade, operator's manual. I think there's a picture in here. There's actually a couple pictures. But yeah, it'll show you the hose routing, where they go, how they hook up. But I took my digital pictures. I had them on my phone, which I'm now using to record this video. So I had to go through and I took a black Sharpie marker. These Milwaukee Inkzol, they got them at Home Depot. It's like 4 packs. Man, these things are great. Awesome, nice fine tip permanent marker. Anyway, I marked on my cylinder over here. Maybe you can kind of see the sun. 1, 2, 6, 5. So I remember where my hoses go. So let me reset this back up. Make sure you can see what I'm doing over here. Kind of pointless to record if you can't see what I'm doing. All right. So I've got them marked. This is my 2-3 hose, which connects from my number 1 cylinder. And basically, it's going to get routed through here over to the number 2 cylinder when I put it in. This is the side with the non-swivel. So now this one here, my tag fell off. But here it is. Here's my 1-4. So I know I'm going into port number 1 on my number 1 cylinder. And eventually to go into port 4 on my number 2 cylinder. Swivel side is going to go to the number 4. Non-swivel this side to the number 1. So basically, like I said, you can put Teflon tape on if you want. I don't know. To each their own. Teflon tape isn't made for sealing. I guess it helps in some instances of, you know, sealing leaks and whatnot, but it's really for thread lubrication for installing it. So I'm not going to use any. We'll see how that goes. I don't think it's going to be an issue. So anyway, it's a little tricky sometimes to get started when you're trying to spin this hose, and sometimes you're in an awkward position or the hose is really long, but just do the best you can. And eventually, the other one went on pretty easy, but now that I'm recording this, it's going to fight me. There we go. Alright, and once it's in, you can just kind of spin the hose, get it on. And all the hoses usually have FME on here, so they're not dragging in the dirt. I already took this one off, so I guess I'll let it drag in the dirt. I'm just kidding, it's not touching. So make sure you get it good and snug. Don't go crazy. After all, this is threading into a cast fitting here. It's like a 45 elbow. So if you go bazooka crazy on it, really start wrenching down on this thing, you're just going to crack your fitting. So it's kind of pretty much tight where it is now. And I know this sounds silly, but I'm going to tighten up a little more just so I can get this green to line up. There we go. And show a little better. So that's my number 1, number 4. Tuck that one back through. So those two are going to cut across to go to the number 2 cylinder on the other side. Alright, we got to get oil from the valve assembly to the piston itself. So we have ports 6 and 5, which in the other video you saw I labeled. However, I did not label the valve assembly. Why? Because I had already taken this apart back in February and I didn't keep track of where they went. Not a big deal. One, I was able to go back through pictures of when I bought the crawler because I photo document everything. I'm telling you, it will save you so much trouble if you do that. And I was able to see that this top hole here comes to the outermost fitting, number 6, and then the bottom one is number 5 on the inside. For this one, it really doesn't matter because one is just going to port oil to the head end and one's going to port oil to the rod end. If you have them switched, it's just when you pull back on the lever, it's either going to make it go up or it's going to make it go down. And if you don't like the way that functions because you got the hoses swapped, you can either swap the hoses back or you can change these linkages over here and it'll do the same thing. So this isn't really critical. What is critical is rod end on number 1 cylinder going to rod end on number 2 cylinder. If you put the rod end to the head end on the other one, you're going to have problems. Basically, the hydraulic system is going to deadhead and it's not going to do anything. So, got those marked again. So let's do number 5 because it's on the bottom. Just going to make it easier. Here's my number 5. Then I'll go back through here when we're not recording and basically I'll cut off all these zip ties and tags and everything and all that. So again, I got FME on this side, FME on this side, and that's just to keep foreign material from going inside the hose. So again, the non-swivel side I'm going to do first and save the swivel side for last. So it doesn't matter. I can put the non-swivel side here and the swivel side here, or it really doesn't matter. It's just preference. So I think what I'm going to do is put the non-swivel side on the hydraulic actuator, because that's what these hoses are. And again, it doesn't matter. And here I am putting the swivel side in. Now some hoses might have different fittings. Might maybe going from one size to another, or from one type of fitting, and you might not be able to just switch them like that. So, all right, so that's in. Get some turns on here, tighten this little girl up. And again, everything's flopping around because we didn't tighten the brackets for the frame. All right, so number 6, and number 6 goes over here. I'll get this one on my swivel, get it started. Looks good. And again, I got it set up where you can see the green. It's silly, you don't have to do that, but what can I say? I like the visual aesthetics of things as much as I do the mechanical, so keep this going. There we go. And it's going to have some play because of that swivel fitting. That's normal. That's not going to get tight. You don't want it tight. You want it to be able to move and flex as the machine goes. And we'll do the same thing for number 6. I'm going to thread it in here in the swivel side. Kind of boring. So I'll go ahead and get this hose in. I'll get the left-hand cylinder on and we'll start filling the system up. Quick run through the system. I'm going to put my oil in the tank. Tank's going to pull a suction. I'm sorry, I got this backwards. Suction from the tank to the pump. Pump's going to pump return line back to the valve assembly. Valve assembly is going to send oil through. So we had a little bit of technical issues yesterday and the battery went dead on my camera. So I did continue on. I didn't want to complete any steps that would maybe prevent you from installing this blade on your crawler, if that's the point of you watching this video. So I did continue on with at least filling and venting and pressurizing the hydraulic system. So really pretty simple. It took about 2.5 gallons, and right now my dipstick shows right in the middle between the add and the full, so it's about 1/2 quart low. I'm okay with that. We're going to run with that for right now just to see how things go, but knock on wood, no leaks or anything, so everything's good there. So basically you want to fill your tank till you get it into the normal range in the dipstick. Start the engine, let the pump pull the fluid from the tank and start to fill, both cylinders and the lines and everything. Shut it off, fill it again, kind of rinse, wash, and repeat type thing. As you're doing that, after the first 1 or 2 cycles, then you want to start moving your controls for your hydraulics. You want to start making sure we're getting oil into both sides of the piston inside the cylinder of the rams. So anyway, did that yesterday and everything worked out good. Knock on wood, no leaks. Everything works. So that's pretty much it. So now that I have the hydraulics set up, I can start the tractor because the system is no longer an open system. It's a closed loop system. I'm not going to spray hydraulic fluid anywhere or run my pump dry. So today we'll start the crawler and we're going to pull it forward and we'll attach the blade frame onto the 2 side frames that we put on yesterday. Once these blade frame pins are in, now I'll know that these frames are, centered left or right, or, out or in from wherever they need to be, and we can tighten down the 2 large nuts on each side and the 4 smaller nuts on each side. So at that point, the frame will pretty much be complete, and then we'll put a blade on. So again, I think I mentioned it in yesterday's video, but if you haven't done it at this point, make sure that you adjust your track tension, because once you get that blade frame on, it makes it a lot harder to do. There's just so many interferences. So track's adjusted, everything's good, and let's get the frame on. Oh, one other thing that I did do. Let me bring this camera over here so that you can see. The hydraulic cylinder underneath here, I just took a block of wood and kind of stuck it in there to give the cylinder something to sit on so that it's not touching the track. This side's not too bad, but if you notice, let's bring the camera over here, bring her down a bit. Yeah, this one here, if I take this wood out, it pretty much rests on the track and can hit these, and you know, me trying to pull it forward, I don't want it hitting on there. So again, just a piece of scrap wood or whatever, just stick it in there and keeps it elevated away from the track so we don't damage anything. All right, well, this is going to be the last time we see the crawler without the blade on it for a while. I love a crawler without a blade. I think they look awesome. And this one without the brush guard on here, when it just had the nice grill with the emblem that's now hidden, just had that nice 60s styling that I really like from this thing. But anyway, it's got a purpose. It's there to protect us from crushing that grill. So anyway, let's get this blade on. I think that'll get it pretty close. I think we can manage to shimmy this frame around as needed. I guess I could go back a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna go back a bit because I'm not trying to shimmy that much. The thing weighs like 700 pounds. Alright, so basically we're just going to get this part of the frame inside here and the pin through there. Easier said than done. This thing weighs a ton. I'll probably try to get it lined up and I don't know, maybe get my floor jack under one side, do one side at a time, or maybe I'll lift this side and put like a crowbar through just to kind of keep it in this general area, and then we'll lift the other side and put that pin in. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Alright, so what I've decided to do is get some of these axle straps, and basically I just wrapped it underneath the frame here, and I hooked on a ratchet strap, which I've got going up to my 2x6s up here. So I got one on this side, and we'll put one on the other side, and basically we'll just use a ratchet strap to lift each one of these up into position. So, you know, sometimes you got to think outside the box. Work smarter, not harder. So if you come in from the side here, you can kind of look through and you can see where we're at. You know, you got the outer hole here, and then the frame is the inside hole, and it's not quite lined up yet. Just got to lift up on it a little more. One thing I will say is, obviously, whether you're using these straps like I'm doing or a jack underneath, don't ever trust them, and the last thing you want to do is be feeling around and sticking your fingers in there to see if that hole's lined up, because I don't know about you, but I like all my fingers. So just be mindful of that. Keep an eye on it. You can use some screwdrivers or pry bars to kind of move it around. I think this one here, let's see if I can get a couple clicks on it. Probably about it there. I just need to push it in a little bit and we should be good to go on this side. But just get those lined up and get the pins in. So we got this right side one lined up, and again, remember there was that tab on the inside of this bracket, and then we have the pin with the square hole. I would put it in with this cotter pin up and down so that the cotter pin isn't like front and back, more chance to slide out. So I'd keep that hole up. I'm just going to slide it in, and you'll see that the pin kind of gets locked by that tab. And then down here on the other side, if you look in, you can see the cotter pin hole there. Alright, so we'll grab our cotter pin, stick it through the hole, and then bend the tabs out on the bottom, and that's it. I mean, it's not anything crazy, it's just to keep that pin from coming out. So I'll bend this cotter pin and get the pin on the other side. This is what you call crawling under a crawler. So this one was hard to get to. on the outside. There. Alright. Cotter pin bent. Good to go. Yeah. This side, because of the offset, a little bit tighter. Not the easiest thing, that's for sure. And there's barely any room back here on these big nuts for the idler adjustment springs. So I'm glad I tensioned the tracks before I put this blade on. So, alright, now you got to tighten up the bracket bolts. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. So, back in the video yesterday, I was talking about how the instructions in our OEM manual has us put these brackets on and kind of set them, right? So it's talking about set mounting frame. So there's a 3/16 inch clearance between the mounting frame and the welded washer on the front square bar. I don't see a welded washer. So, may have been there, but it's not anymore. So we're just going to kind of eyeball this. My problem is I want to make sure that I'm not going to have any clearance issues when raising and lowering the blade. I'll show you on the other side. So on this left side of the tractor, you will see that on the main blade frame, there's another plate welded on here that's not on the right hand side. And on my brush guard or grill guard, you'll see this metal strip that runs along. So that's designed so that this plate can ride along this strip if needed. It shouldn't be rubbing against there all the time, but it is there to, you know, kind of give it use it as a guide, if you will. So I think what we're going to do, because I don't want to tighten up these brackets and it's shifted too far to the right and it's rubbing on here all the time, or it's too far to the left and I got my track pads hitting on the frame. It's definitely too far to the left right now. It needs to go to the right. But I have the whole weight of this thing just kind of sitting on these 6x6s down here right now. So start the tractor up. We'll pull these pins out. We'll clean the paint off these pins. Lube them up with Lucas Red and Tacky. No sponsorship. And we'll install the cylinders so that I can actually lift the weight of this frame off the ground. I hope that's going to help me get these brackets where I need them to be, so we can tighten them down. And if not, then, well, I was wrong. Won't be the first time. Alright, so yesterday when I was bleeding out the hydraulic system, I noticed that this right hand cylinder would extend before the left one, and once it met its max extension, then the left one would start to go. No surprise there, because the hydraulic fluid's coming into the number one cylinder here, and path of least resistance is going to move this one first. Once the blade's hooked up, the hydraulics are just going to push both at the same time, so no concern. But because I know that, we're going to hook this side up first. So I've already taken the pins out of both sides. I've cleaned all these contact points, including the pin, and greased everything thoroughly. When you hook up these hydraulic cylinders to the blade frame here, there is a grease fitting. Make sure that you have that on the top. It is possible to have it shifted to the bottom, and it's going to be inside the frame here, and you'll never be able to grease it. So double check on both sides, which I did on the other side as well, that the Zerk fitting is up, so that once it's attached to the frame, you can easily access it from here. So I'm going to start it up now and basically just push this hydraulic cylinder until it gets into the blade frame. We'll put the pin in, and then I have these locking pins I'm going to put in for right now. They're not quite the right ones. It's not the roll pins I should have, so I'll have to get some of those, but this is going to work for now. So let's get this thing hooked up. Now remember, I have this block of wood in here. I don't want to leave that in there because then I'll never be able to get it out. So it looks like it's about where I need it. So I'll go ahead and pull the wood out of here. Get my pin ready. Come forward with the pad. Guess I forgot to turn the gas on. Anyway, we'll get this, probably don't even need that in there for now. Let's just get this blade hooked up, and I'm just gonna, I know it sounds silly, I'm gonna put a zip tie through here so that I can visually see that I still need to do the roll pin, but it's not gonna pop out. I'm not gonna use the crawler in this fashion without the correct pin in there. I just don't have the right size ones for it, and I don't know what the hell happened to the ones I had before. So I'm gonna put a pin in there, and we'll move to the other side. Alright, I was able to get the pin in there. Still not the correct roll pin, but it's better than the zip tie I was gonna put in there. So now that this one's connected, we'll come over here to this side, and I'll turn on the gas so that it'll run. But I'll continue with the down pressure. Let's get this set up here so you can see. Alright, I'll continue with the down pressure, and we'll go ahead and put this cylinder in. Again, don't forget to take out that piece of wood that's in there. Make for a bad day. Probably take a minute to start here until I get some fuel going. Side, so it's even harder, but it's alright. Make it work. Alright. Let's pull it out of here. That should be fun. Alright. Again, I apologize for the wind. You can see it's just blowing dust through here, and I'm sure you hear all the wind noise, and if it sounds like I'm tired and out of breath, it's probably because I am. Alright, so I've got this, I think, pretty much where I want it. I think at this point it's going to be trial and error. I mean, you know, 3/16 of an inch really, maybe back in 1960, but this thing's so wore out that I don't think it really matters much. So we're going to go ahead and zip down these brackets here and raise and lower it a few times, see what happens. Couple extra ooga-doogas out to do it. This is a 1.5 inch nut, by the way, in case you're wondering. And the torque specs are in the book. I want to say it's like 200 for these. Maybe it's 90. Maybe it's as much as this gun will let me tighten it. Alright, cue the violin music. Rear U-bolts, 90 foot-pounds of torque. That's the 4 small ones in the back on each side, and the 2 front ones on each side, 250 foot-pounds. Yeah. Of course, I can't get the big zip in here, so we gotta do it the old-fashioned way. And there's so much room. You do want to try to draw these in evenly though, especially the front to back, where I should say each U-bolt to each U-bolt. You want to try to make sure you at least have a couple threads penetration out of each nut on each U-bolt. Let's see. Alright, I got about 2 threads on each one, so we're good there. All the bracket bolts are tight. Now, you could either do it at this point or later, like I'm going to do, but definitely want to cycle the blade up and down just to make sure everything clears You know, like I said, everything is a bit worn. It's kind of sloppy, so you might get some rubbing here and there. You just want to make sure you're not going to have your track pads catching up on it. So, all right, the next step before we get the blade on is these big old heavy solid pieces, and these slide into the channel of here. And of course, crawler's too far forward, so let me back it up, Jack. These big old heavy things are going to slide into these channels. These pins will go through the frame into said positions. Now, let's say this one's out in the extended position here, and then the one on the right hand side, I'll put in all the way in. As you can see, that's where I get my blade angle from, and vice versa. Pull this one out. Well, take the pin out, push that one in. Now it's angled to push dirt to the other side. So for the sake of our video, I got them both in to the closest position back towards the crawler. So let's get the blade prepped here. So a couple components. Now remember, I don't have the carriage bolts on my shoes, so those are loose. So when I lift this blade up, they're going to be separate, which is fine. It gives me a good opportunity to really clean them well, paint them. When the blade's up, I can do good paint underneath the blade, and then put new carriage bolts and hardware on here. Alright, so for this side, we got this piece that's basically going to go in and turn, lock into place. Alright, this is where the blade's going to pivot to angle the blade, the tilt left and right for like cutting into a hillside. So for now, we're going to put it in and keep it straight. This one here, kind of the same deal. Let's see if I can get this to slide on here. Slides from the bottom and basically goes down like a track. There we go. And it's going to determine your blade angle from here. So there's a little mark here that's supposed to be level, so we'll get that kind of close to where it's supposed to be. These wedges get put in. We're not going to go too crazy with them now, but one on the top, one on the bottom, and that's what holds everything in place. Kind of crazy, right? And then I just got some pins here to put through so I don't lose these wedges. Usually they should be hammered in there a lot tighter than what I have, and they shouldn't come out anyway, but just for the sake of that. So now I'm going to attempt to pull the crawler forward and hopefully get these brackets to line up somewhere pretty close. I'm sure we'll have to play around with the blade a little bit, but that's where we're at. Probably as close as I'm going to get before I push this thing off the blocks and then have to deal with that fiasco. So, let's see here. I have a crowbar. Again, don't be sticking your fingers in here. Don't be putting your toes underneath. You can see I've got 2 ratchet straps that are supporting the top of this, so it should be pretty good. Anyway, let's pull this in kind of where it needs to be. And I'll grab my pins that I've been hitting my head on for the last couple of days. So basically these big pins just drop in, and there's no hole for a pin or anything at the bottom of them. But so again, being mindful of your toes, kind of work this thing around a little bit, get your pin dropped in. It's through the top but not the bottom. We'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to walk around the other side because, like I said, I'm not trying to climb on that or put my feet under it. And now, I want to try to slide this one back. Always mindful of your toes. Again, like I said, sure you got 10 like I do, and I like to keep them. Alright, so this pivots in there a little bit. Slide this back a little bit more. There we go. And then let me get my rubber mallet so I don't use my body as a hammer. I'm not 20 anymore. Alright, not too bad. Well, I think this crawler resto project has finally come to a close. Of course, they're never really done. You know, I still got the pads I have to paint, the hydraulic block assembly to put in the back so I can hook up my hydraulic trailer plow for plow days. Little touch-up paint here and there, some odds and ends. I got a toolbox I want to mount on the left fender, so there's still little things to do. You'll see this crawler in plenty of videos. Obviously the Can of Crawler Crush It videos on the YouTube Shorts. We got tractor shows coming up, plow days coming up, so you'll definitely see a lot more of this crawler. Now we actually get to see it in action. So again, sorry about the wind, but yeah, so I'm gonna put the stamp of completion on this one and we'll call it a wrap. So hopefully you'll learn something through this, whether you're restoring your own crawler and you need to check out some videos on how to do something, or if you're just watching to learn how things work or how to use certain tools or whatever. So I try to make the videos entertaining for everybody and kind of a family safe environment, and just try to have some fun with it when we can. So I appreciate the support from everybody. I think we're almost at 650 subscribers, so that's awesome. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it definitely helps out the channel. So I appreciate it. Thank you all again. You guys are awesome.